You're watching St Lucia's only 100% digital television station, Hot 7 TV.
Expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
And good night, folks. Good night. Special welcome to you. I thought you'd sneak up on me again. Special good night to all of you out there in Keeping It Real TV land. And welcome once again to another really hot episode of Keeping It Real. Keeping It Real with you. Special good night to all of you. And you know, of course, today and yesterday was really hot in the scheme of things. We had a sitting of Parliament, and of course, things are real hot with the coronavirus, and the numbers are skyrocketing. And well, we're going to get into that in just a few. Let me just get things ready here. And of course, I have to do my duty, do the necessaries, and shout out people. Otherwise, I'm going to be in problems. First out tonight, Saltibus down there in Choiseul. Choiseul or Choiseul? Choiseul, folks. Choiseul. New Village in Castries, good night to you. Labrie, Viewfort, Grace, Pierrot, Miku, Deriso, Tupatu Abala. Where what? Hiwanora Heights. Viewfort have Heights. Well, Hiwanora Heights, folks. Where are we going to now? Denry South, Denry North. Where? Monrepo. Don't forget Monrepo, Denry North. Where? Richford. Good night, Oleon, Gadet, Limier. What's the other place over there again? What's the other place there? Man, you don't know geography, man. You're taking too much time. All over. Where? I call Oleon already, man. That's the second place. What's wrong with you? These guys don't know their geography and making me look bad on TV. But anyway, folks, we're just messing around in the beginning here. Grosley, Ancillary, Market Street in Ancillary. That is the town where everything stops when Keeping It Real is on. Good night to all of you over there. Good night to the Adjuders and those of you watching on the other side near the Ancillary Square. Good night to you. And of course, Casaba, Massad, Grosley, Canries, all over St Lucia, T-colon, millet, look milk, and T-colon, the small intestine, all over St Lucia, Bonte, downtown, uptown, all over. And if you happen to be out on a yacht or anything, and you're looking in, and somebody says, I look fabulous tonight, well, thank you so much. Must be the bow tie. Don't you think so, folks? Let me know what you think about this bow tie. Everybody likes it. But anyway, the viewers of Keeping It Real in the diaspora, Dallas, Texas is on. Good night. Keep it real. I'm watching you. Every night, this viewer is on. Wherever he is in the world, he's tuned in. China, in Australia, wherever. Houston, Texas, good night. Atlanta, Georgia, good night to you. Miami, Florida, Pembroke Pines, down there, right outside of Miami. Good night, Fort Lauderdale. Good night, West Palm Beach, Florida. Good night to North Dakota. Yeah, good night to New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, Nostrand Avenue, Flatbush, Utica. That's right. All over the New York City area, Staten Island, Jersey City, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. All over. Where? Where else? Philadelphia. Where else? Washington, D.C., Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, Boston, Massachusetts, Hartford, Connecticut, Toronto, Canada, the United Kingdom, in London. Good night to you. Those of you who stay up late and watch the show, good night to the Codras all over. Good night to Forestier, Bexon, before I get into any trouble. That's it, folks. Everybody else, good night to you from Keeping It Real. Good night to the man Champagne and the fans on Sky FM. Good night to all of you listening on your radio. Now, if you really need to get Hot 7 TV and you don't have cable, you can get an antenna, or you can listen on the Hot FM app, which gives you TV and radio and music and all the kind of things you like. You can also tune into their webpage and, of course, on Facebook. That's right. Got it all in one app. If you don't have the app on your tablet, on your laptop, tut bagay, you get the idea. Antenna, right downtown or in Viewfort. Few dollars. You don't have to worry about. Don't worry about it. It's a few dollars. Ask them for the discount price. They'll give you the discount price. Okay? That's it, folks. Now let's get into the action. Now, you know, I always try to keep it real. I always keep it real here with you, in fact. I give you the evidence that I'm looking at to conduct my own analysis of the paralysis, and you have the opportunity to do the same. You can agree with me, or you can disagree, but that's fine. After all of that, we're still friends. We don't have to be vexed. You see things different. If you understand where I'm coming from, the facts are the facts. So anyway, in the House of Assembly today, Parliament, with the government and, of course, Her Majesty's loyal opposition, Parliamentary Representative Bobono, the Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, was, of course, touched just like every single one of us, I believe, yesterday when we heard of the increasing numbers of COVID positive cases in St Lucia, and then to hear about not one, but 2 deaths in quick succession. And I'm going to delve into that tonight because I have my own analysis of the paralysis, which I have expressed before, but now which I believe is even more pertinent because of the current state of affairs in St. Lucia, which should be a very, very serious wake-up call for all of us. Roll, Ezekiel.
The talk around is because of the action that took place, the mass crowd. You heard we had the biggest rally. What were the numbers? The numbers of whites we agreed that we didn't have laws in place because they had boycotted, Mr. Speaker, deliberately. But if you are a responsible leader, understanding what we are going through in this country, you would not behave like that for your own personal gains, Mr. Speaker. You will tell your people, we are not going to march because the protocols are speaking to mass crowd events, the protocols are speaking to wearing masks, the protocols are speaking to social distancing. We should not go out there and march.
You get the idea, folks? Now, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Where have you heard that before? What movie was that? Network from 19... whatever it was. COVID, we have deaths. And I'm going down dirty tonight. I'm going down in it. We have deaths, folks. And this government and our CMO have put the protocols in place. From early, and with all the wailing and gnashing of teeth from those who at every turn opposed what this government was doing, the protocols that were in place for the citizens and people in St. Lucia, for persons entering St. Lucia legally, and for everything else we did, whether you were going to church, whether you were going to the supermarket, whether you were walking around in public, whether you were going to the beach, whether you were going anywhere at all. The protocols were in place to minimize the risk, to manage the situation as it existed on the ground, to minimize the risk, minimize the possibility of people contracting or being infected with the coronavirus and getting COVID-19. Say it and so, and that was the purpose for the state of emergency. And I ain't saying that with any water in my mouth. That's what it was for. That's what all the measures were around the world. That's what they were for. To minimize the risk. Because there's only one way, folks. Only one way. To completely eradicate any possibility. Lockdown. Lockdown, stay at your home, which means that you can't go to the supermarket. Which means that you can't go to work. Which means that you can't get formula for your baby. Ou pas sa hen poisson. Ou pas sa hen rien. If your electricity goes down, nobody's coming out. If your water goes down, nobody's coming out. Complete lockdown, guaranteed. Est-ce que ça fait ça? No. Can we afford to do it? No. Straight case. Let us stop pussyfooting around. Let us stop pretending with ourselves. Let us stop mindlessly opposing what the government is doing. There has to be a happy medium where you weigh the health of the country versus the economic health of the country. It's a straight case. Because St. Lucia can't print money, and I've said so before. And if you don't like it, if you don't want to hear it, well, open your ears wider. And the more people will stay out there and shoot nonsense, is the more I believe it is my responsibility and the responsibility of all good and clear thinking St. Lucians to set them straight. But then, let's not pretend. I'm keeping it real with you. That clock is fast. I find that clock is going fast tonight. Should be about just 5 minutes into the show. This thing is showing 15 minutes. You're all up to something. You're trying to get out of here early tonight. Tell me, no overtime tonight. No, got something. Jal boy check. Jal boy check. Don't make me call your name. I'll put you in trouble. Folks, whether we had a state of emergency, whether we have the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act, whether we have any other measure or not, the fact remains that as responsible adults, as responsible leaders, as responsible politicians, as responsible parents, as responsible teachers, as responsible clergy, as responsible politicians, whether on the government side or on Her Majesty's loyal opposition, we have to be aware, more so than ever, being the persons of responsibility, of having some modicum of concern, of awareness of what is happening in the world around us and here in St. Lucia, that whether there was a state of emergency or an act or not, we have a certain responsibility for the well-being of the people who look up to us and take direction from us. And right now I'm talking about the opposition. and the hypocrisy that really gets me. Because as far as I'm concerned, they capitalized on the opportunity and maybe very well themselves contributed to there not being the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act. At the end of October, when was it? End of September into October. As they said, by golly, we're going to have the march since July. By golly, darn it. And everything, it seems to me, was orchestrated to create the conditions which would allow it. And they say, oh, well, the CMO signed off on it. The CMO signed off on it. The CMO, the police commissioner, had no legal authority then to refuse the permit. So don't come with that. Don't try that, man. Don't try that. But it was your responsibility as responsible politicians, as responsible so-called leaders, and those with the espoir to take the reins of government. As far as I'm concerned, you failed miserably, if only on that. You failed by taking the reckless decision for what you described, Philip J. Pierre, as the largest protest march in St. Lucia's history. And you'll have the audacity. And you know why I'm bringing this up again? Because it's still here now. And the people of St. Lucia are left to wonder about the sensibility of that action. Oh, we put people first. We put St. Lucians first. Where you put them first? In the line of fire for COVID? And the audacity to put out a flyer that said at the bottom, you have the flyer? You don't have it? If you get it, put it up for me. To put up a flyer, send it out on social media all over, and at the bottom of it, small, everything on top, tut ro, tut bagay, but at the bottom, last line, observe the COVID-19 protocols. But what protocols were you all talking about? Because there was no state of emergency. There were no SIs in effect with the protocols. There was no COVID-19 act with the protocols. So which protocols were you referring to? Of course, the protocols that were in place before. But if you had, yes. So what is it that you, there we go. Let's look at the bottom there. Jikaba, COVID-19 protocols in effect. You are asked to wear your mask. That's the only protocol they were pushing. You are COVID-19 protocols in effect. You're the protocols, eh? Gasa yodi. You are asked to wear your mask. That's it. Because obviously there was no social distancing there. None. NUN none. There was no social distancing. So is it only one protocol they had? So by simply saying or simply stating COVID-19 protocols in effect, you are also admitting that COVID-19 is a clear and present danger and still exists, and measures should be taken by all. But the only measure you talk about, the only protocol you talk about, is your mask. Because clearly there was no social distancing there. And clearly, obviously, if you're talking about protocols, the last protocol, which I would suppose you would want to be guided by, said no mass crowd event larger than 500 people. But even before that, you said it was going to be the largest protest march in the history of St. Lucia. The largest protest march in the history of St. Lucia was not 400 people. It wasn't 500. So you knew. You knew. And your intention was for it to be more larger than 500. So now we have deaths, la mort. We have deaths. And we see puck, 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 all over the map where the districts where COVID-19 has struck. But just yesterday, and even before that, and before the announcement of the deaths, I was watching the news and I was talking again during the day. And if we remember all the statistics from before, about 1%, 1.2%, and it can even go up to 2%, somewhere around that range, of people who contract the coronavirus, COVID-19, die. So I was alarmed yesterday morning. I was like, this is not good, because the statistics show that we're just about the point where somebody's going to die. And let me stop right there and like to extend my sympathies to the relatives and friends of the two gentlemen who died yesterday as a result of COVID-19, the coronavirus. 1 to 2%. So all the shenanigans and the nonsense that is being pushed out there, oh, COVID not real, and this, that, and the front door, and this, that, and the foolishness. Just know, folks, that out of the numbers, if you think it's a joke, the reality is setting in now. That with the numbers now inching up, somebody's going to die. Can't get away from it. So the question you have to ask now is, who's next? That's the question you have to ask. Who is next? So what do you have to do to minimize the odds, minimize the possibility that you're going to get it, and then if you get it, that you may very well be the statistic in the 1%. This is the harsh reality. And you tell me you have a match, but I want to show you the reality of it. Let me see the COVID match that I prepared for you. The COVID map. Look at it, folks. And the safe zone, I don't know if you want to call it safe, but I'll say safe. Ancillary and Canaries. The final frontiers. The two last standing outposts. Ancillary and Canaries. Everywhere else, every other district, Soufrière, Choiseul, Labrie, Vieux-Fort, Micoud, Dennery, Castries, Babonneau, Gros-Islet, all up there, COVID has struck. And we saw it moving down the map every day or every few days. We got an update. We saw it moving down. It was Dennery, it was Castries, then Gros-Islet, then Dennery, then down to Micoud, then one pop in Vieux-Fort, back up, another one pop in Vieux-Fort, then was it last week? Early last week or the week before? One in Labrie, back up again, back. So you can see the movement. You can see the movement. The connection, how it spreads. And it was exactly, the spread that we saw was exactly what the CMO and the other health officials had said. That bus on the 2H route. And lo and behold, exactly what was said is where it is. And of course, now people get exposed, so you can't come and say shift, you can't move. And everything we have done has been stellar. The contact tracing. And then, of course, you have the conspiracy theorists who have absolutely no proof of anything about front door. But they tell you, front door, the tourists coming in, the front door. Do I really need to get into that again? How ridiculous that has been? Because practically everything that was caught was in quarantine. So it means that the protocols we put in place were extremely effective. Extremely effective. Is it possible to? Of course it is possible. But what you do is minimize the risk. That's why you wear a mask too on the outside. That's why they take your temperature when you're going into the bank or you're going into the supermarket or whatever. That's why they spray your hands with alcohol, hand sanitizer, to minimize the risk. That's why they tell you, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your nose, don't touch your mouth. When you get home, wash your hands. Wear a mask, social distancing. Cash and carry, takeaway service at the bars. Night before, you know that's the thing, folks. That's the thing. We have these measures in place. People see every day around the world what is going on. Munkamo, Komush, in the US, just up there. Every day, we have not escaped it at all. Wherever you turn, social media, in the news, online news, cable TV news, whatever channel you switch to, radio, TV, kisaiye, there's some story about it, something. And you're telling me people are still lackadaisical, people telling you, oh, it's a hoax, it's fake. So, tout se moun la ki mo la mi wik. Tout se moun la ki mo l'Anglite. Tout se moun la ki mo en Spain, ebe France, ebe Italie. Tout se moun la ki mo Jamaïque, ebe Venezuela, ebe Trinidad. Yo manti. Se de moun la ki mo ye, yo manti too. I mean, some people then, some of us go around and believe these nincompoops. Nincompoops. As if you can't think for yourself that, hey, woohoo, woohoo. This doesn't compute. This doesn't make sense. When you're seeing all the evidence to the contrary of the nonsense, and then you have those who want to pretend, they will hear the nonsense being spewed. And for some reason, I'm sure you can imagine who I'm referring to and what the reason is, whether it's cheap political points or whatever. They know better. They will not agree with it, but they will say nothing to condemn it. They will be silent. They will be silent about it because it doesn't suit their purpose. And that is the hypocrisy and the ignorance that we are faced with today in St. Lucia, with this critical situation of COVID-19, a global pandemic. The hypocrites, give it to them. It's such a pain.
You're gonna pay the price someday. Hypocrite, stinking hypocrite. Gonna pay the price someday.
Now, word gets around in St. Lucia, Word gets around. We know that. But I want to know if a particular person has been quarantined. It's a rhetorical question. I don't need the answer. But I heard about a party somewhere and somebody was all up with somebody who they had the party for. And for some strange reason, I haven't seen that person the past few days. You fill in the blanks for yourself. Fill it in. I'm just saying. But let's see the respiratory hospital patient information leaflet which is given out, just so you have an idea of what's going on there. They give to persons who go into quarantine or isolation. Once you tested positive, you go into isolation at Old Victoria Hospital, the respiratory clinic. So can you zoom out a little bit from that? They were missing a little bit. Right. So this is, you can see what they tell you, what you should bring, blah, 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 once you test positive and all of that. You could see it there. Don't go too small because some people out there have 100-inch screens. Good night to Lance Road. Every time I have to say that, I remember Lance Road because I know somebody over there with a 100-inch screen. So let's go to the next page just to inform you about, you know, the process and how they inform people going into the respiratory hospital who have been tested positive. There we go. But you know, we'll do it twice. Okay, you could take that down. But you know, last week or week before, I told you folks, I told you that everybody's watching this show, Keeping It Real, on a Tuesday night. This is the place to be. Well, they're waiting tonight, Wednesday. And when the show does not come on a Tuesday, for whatever reason, the calls, they're going crazy. The shagware, keeping it real. They break out, you know, they itching, they withdrawal symptoms. I'm so sorry. But the message went out yesterday. So, but you know, if you don't see it on Tuesday, it's coming Wednesday. But I told you all of them watch the show. Everybody watches the show. Philip J. Pierre, the opposition. They don't call. I tried to get Pierre to call the other day. I called him out on, you know, the whole Ernest Hilaire Range Rover saga that's been playing out in the press. And Ernest Hilaire put out a statement on social media there, and he gone on the market steps and he rolling the keys, man. Come for it. Come for it. Come for it. Upa bayoy. Ah, bayoy. Upa bay, come for it. Ah, bava. Come for it. That money Grand Judge tell me. Let you come for it. That's another story. Give us that story. Come for it. But you know, folks, you know, I am so pleased tonight. I am so pleased tonight to announce, to inform you that even the leader of the opposition and leader of the SLP, Philip J. Pierre, has admitted in the most public of forums for the people of St. Lucia to see and hear and to know that he watches Keeping It Real. He said so. And I said to you before that they're all watching it, and they are. And I encourage Philip J. Pierre to continue watching Keeping It Real. But I'm not going to keep you in suspense, and I'm not going to keep the information away from you. Let's hear what Philip J. Pierre had to say in the House of Assembly, House of Parliament, about Keeping It Real. Roll it.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. But keeping it real every day, 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 every day. Pierre, he left, there, every day. But no, we playing politics.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this is just the greatest endorsement for Keeping It Real. And I would like to thank Philip J. Pierre for his support. I would like him to invite others, his friends and family, to those who are not already watching, to watch the show. Watch the show. But, you know, Philip J. Pierre now, you know, of course he can't stray too far from the usual, you know, the usual 3Bs principle, remember. Bullshit battles brains. Good night, Kimani. Good night, Kioni and your mommy. But he also went on to say this. Listen, roll it.
Mr. Speaker, the government has paid operatives on the radio, on a program, daily playing politics, daily paid up ministers call a program, and politics. But no, they're so good. They know nothing about the country, and they want to get COVID alone. And these guys are so bad. You're wicked. And every day, they're paid operatives on the radio. And they call the station, yes, and they play as if it's something that they're doing. Oh yeah, mister, how you doing there?
They're going mad, mad. All they try to try. They're going mad, mad. And it's looking bad. Going mad, crazy, crazy. All they try to try. They're going mad, mad. And it's looking bad, yes.
Paid opera. Say, Booksalap, you know, you were doing so well with watching Keeping It Real. And then you had to descend back into the old quagmire of, 3B's principle. And ministers call. It's like about the other night when 4 ministers called the show, Sakabwile, because we keep it real here, and I was calling you all the time. I called you first, Philip J. Pierre, to call the show. I gave you an opportunity. I said nobody call before the phone-in segment for you to call. Upakouye. Mais à présent, les autres moun kage ou jaloux. Ou jaloux. But you can still call tonight. I want you to call. Call 450-0777. Nobody else call now. This is Philip JP's time. Call. We know you're watching already. Call. Because you left the house early. As soon as you finish, uku there. Because you wanted to brace yourself just like everybody else to watch the show. I mean, he was talking about, Shasnet this, and we was, like I said, we were not prepared. We know that's nonsense. Stop repeating the nonsense. We know it ain't making any sense. Oh, the Prime Minister, you say Rat Island. No, that's not true. And you know it ain't. I will get the video. Because I was at that NIMAC meeting when it was stated by the Prime Minister that a number of locations and options were being looked at. And one of them was Rat Island. He didn't say we were going. He said an option was being looked at. And lo and behold, folks, those of you who don't remember or may not know, Rat Island or Rat Islet was a quarantine station way back then with scarlet fever and all those other diseases that have practically disappeared from the earth because of modern medicine. Rat Islet, you see there, was a quarantine facility. So what wrong in doing that? When you're on there, you're not infecting anybody. I say, lauga wete. Uja laupe wete. That's where you stay in. Rat Islet. But you have to try and papi show the PM because he said so. We'll take a break and we're going to come back to the COVID thing again. Tonight, folks, we're going to open up the lines a little earlier, but I'll let you know. We'll open up the lines earlier because I know all of you out there have a lot to say about what's happening now with the coronavirus. We're going to take our first break and we'll be right back.
Remember when love was in the air? The love of sweet reggae music. Remember Love Fest? Well, Hot FM's Love Fest is back on Hot 7 TV as Love Fest Flashback. Let's go down memory lane as we sing along to our favorite songs. Relive those unforgettable performances. All the all-time greats of reggae music. It's Love Fest Flashback every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sunday 6 p.m. on the most watched television. The popular Hot FM Love Fest is back on Hot 7 TV as Love Fest Flashback. Come, feel the love.
benefits of a tropical solar water heating system. Call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Vieux-Fort.
Thank you, folks. I'm not coming back from that quick break, and welcome back to you. And a special good night to Kabish. Good night to Kabish. Good night to Babono. Good night to Balata. That's what they call it, Balata. Good night to you there. People seem to be going wild at the endorsement by Philip J. Pierre for keeping it real. It's great. Great. Before I get back into, in fact, you know what? I'll wind up the coronavirus situation before I get into this. You know, if Philip J. Pierre wants to blame the government, because it seemed that that's exactly what he was doing today. And he continues repeating that St. Lucia was not prepared. We're not doing things properly. That's not substantiated, folks, by anything. It's not substantiated by the evidence. It's not substantiated by the facts. And whatever demise individual people in St. Lucia have to face or are facing, it's because of their own actions. And instead of being part of the solution, what Philip J. Pierre and the opposition did and have continued to do since the 6th of June 2016 is oppose at every opportunity, every twist and turn, anything that the government has done. They have been unrelenting. They have failed and continue to refuse to accept the will and the voice of the people at the last elections. That is a fact. Their chagouin pouvoir is exemplified every day in every statement they make, in every medium, whether it be social media, radio, TV, or elsewhere in print, anywhere else. As if the last elections, the results continue to burn them. Let the government work. And I continue to say it again, that people who have failed and who were fired, you're fired because of those colossal failures to deliver, want to now turn around and dictate to this government how to go about completing or doing the very same projects that they failed to deliver, that they failed to complete, that they failed to open. And tomorrow will begin the official desilting of the dam, St. Lucia. Bravo! Bravo! Desilting of the dam. Although the SLP had imposed a desilting levy on all St. Lucians. On all St. Lucians. Even those in the south who are not benefiting from the dam. All St. Lucians. But then now they will talk about fishermen who are not using the roads but paying the 150 per gallon of gas. You see? Two sides of the mouth. That's what they're speaking out of. Two sides of the mouth. So they complain again also. You know, you have to bring, that's why they don't like you to talk about the past. And that's the past, that's the past. Because when you talk about the past, you will highlight the shenanigans and the nonsense of the SLP when they were in government. That's why they don't want you to talk about the past. Because if things were so nice and rosy in the past, they'd be putting it in your face. That's what they'd be doing. Huanora International Airport redevelopment, when the government imposed, what's it? The redevelopment tax or levy or whatever you want to call it. What did they say? Why are you going to be charging people when there's no work being done yet on the airport? Visitors coming in, you know. Not St. Lucians, you know. And you know they have this FFFF foolery nonsense thing talking about. So they take the tax off for the redevelopment of the airport. They take it off of the foreigners because nothing is being done. And they impose a desilting levy, a desilting tax. South Lake we say, membaila. They impose it on St. Lucians. And they did nothing. Mayoka pale about foreigners. You see, that's the hypocrisy again. That's the nonsense. That's how they malmenen your cerveau. Comme si des autres fous. Yo ka drill cerveau. Comme si dis vent ou ni en tête ou pas kachile man. Bayoy. To them, they'll drink it. Glog, glog, glog. Glog, glog, glog. So that's so much for that now. I want to touch on a situation which occurred last week. Buddy. Yeah, but Buddy, that's right. You know, I don't really care about Buddy, you know. Buddy doing his thing, do his thing. Apo isa person pa akute. Come for the laughs, for the entertainment, for the, you know, make we kalte bagay kisa. But you know, sometimes, and I say so with all honesty and expectation for Buddy, but it seems like he doesn't take my advice. He pa akute. And there are some things you just don't do. You don't do those things, man. Stop that, man. And last week, Buddy presented wherever he got it from, whoever gave it to him, or hey, contracts, this, that, and this person is the one who have the contract, but he have it in other people's name. He have it in other people's name. Where's the evidence to support that? And then he goes on now to mention a name. In fact, it was up on the screen. And he mentioned where the person worked. And he mentioned where the person lived. And he even went as far to say where the person's relatives lived out of St. Lucia. I think that identifies somebody very, very accurately. And it is my opinion that Buddy wanted more info, and the person, whoever it was who gave him the printout, gave him some information on the supposed individual who was supposed to be corrupt. But lo and behold, folks, I can't say the name is not very common. It's not common at all. The first name and the last name. But lo and behold, a quick investigation proved that there was, in truth and in fact, somebody else with the same name, but spelt differently, one letter different. How irresponsible can that be? And the thing is that the individual is so distraught about this situation. And that's not fair, folks. And in that, whatever was presented on there, that paper, that photo of whatever, was people's names who had been awarded contracts, from what I could tell, and their bank account numbers at a particular bank in Castries. You tell me that's right? In this day of identity theft, in this day of privacy, and what I want to ask is whether Buddy would be happy if anybody put out his bank account. His bank account number. You know, I'm leaving that there for you to decide. I'm leaving that there for you to decide. Let's go back to the total cases now. Let's go to the total cases from last week. Not that on the front page of Worldometers with the numbers from last week. The one with St Lucia, there we go. Last week, folks, last week, Tuesday, we were at 105, 0 deaths, and recovered was 32. And let's go to what that page looks like for St. Lucia today, this evening. 148 total cases, 2 deaths, and recovered 32. Now let's go to that graphic there, total cases for St. Lucia. You see the total cases, folks? And over there to the right, where you see that spike, you know, we have to stick with the evidence. We have to stick with the facts and come to logical conclusions. Because where you see it's flat, the borders had been open in July, the flights were coming in June, July, August, September, flat. Nothing to be concerned about. Although there were cases, it was being managed with the protocols in place. And remember, at the beginning of all of this, folks, they were talking about, what was it? Flattening the curve. St. Lucia didn't have a curve. A flat line you see there. And when they say flatten the curve, it's because you begin to have problems. And Philip J. Pierre should know that. And he's talking absolute balderdash in the house today. Philip J. Pierre should know that. And if he had attended the meetings, he would know that the NEMAC meetings and all the other meetings that they had. If he had attended, he would have known. That when you begin having problems is when the number of cases increases beyond the capacity of your hospitals. So as if it's like some great epiphany he had, or some prediction, or he was some guy there. You see, I told you, you see, what's happening? It's not the government. St. Lucia has, whether it's St. Jude's open, whether it's OKEU open, whether VH open, whether everywhere open. The moment your numbers start climbing above your capacity, you begin to have problems. That's what we see in the States. Even in the States where they have millions of hospital rooms. Overwhelmed at the individual hospitals. In Europe, in the UK. Why do you think they're overwhelmed? Because the numbers exceed the capacity of the health services. Oh, look at VH, and look at the respiratory hospital, and we're going to run out of beds soon. Of course we're going to run out of beds soon when you have irresponsible behavior, Philip J. Pierre. Of course. Of course. And when we engage in reckless behavior and pretend, oh, wear your mask, observe the protocols. Grossly negligent, irresponsible behavior, reckless, endangering people's lives. Pull that up again. And look at that. What date was the march? Don't say what I ain't saying. The date of the march was the 4th. Usually it takes about 5, 7, 8 days. Depends, 4 days for signs and symptoms to begin showing. Look at that March there. Look at the dates there. The March was on the 4th. About a week from the 4th is about the 11th, of course. Look at the numbers go spike. Nowhere else before that. The airports opened, flights came in, visitors were coming in. St. Lucians came in the right way, the legal way. Nada. All of a sudden, boom! What conclusion am I supposed to come to? Next one, active cases. Look at it. Look at how low, how flat the line was with active cases because they were recovering before too many came on. Flat, look at that. Same time again, right after the 4th. Look at it. What am I supposed to deduce from that? Huh? Now we talk about flattening the curve. How are you going to flatten the curve, Philip J. Pierre? You must implement measures. That's what the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill was supposed to do. Continue off where the state of emergency left off by spreading the powers around. Oh no! Had to capitalize on that. Don't say what I didn't say. But look at the facts. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm saying. So, right now we have a total of 148 cases. And just the other day, we had 28, 23 weeks ago. 29 cases. And in 3 weeks, we increased the number by 120 in 3 weeks. Something had to have happened. Something had to have happened. That was different. That sounds like Dr. Kenny Anthony talking about our finances under his management. But let's move on from COVID now. Let's move on from COVID. Let's move on from COVID. Ernest Hilaire is talking about loans. The airport loans. Oh, we coming to there. And no, Philip J. Pierre. And of course, Ernest Hilaire went on social media and the SLP were talking about more loans again. The most disingenuous and misleading information to the people of St. Lucia. Folks, all that was sought to be done was to change the conditions, the terms of the loan for the airport. From quarterly, which means every 3 months, to monthly payments. Philip J. Pierre, well, hold on, let me get to that. Monthly payments. And by doing so, those monthly payments would equate to or result in $3 million less having to be repaid or having to be paid over the life of the loan. And Philip appeared this afternoon. I looked at him incredulous. I was watching him on a screen. Incredulous at what he was saying. Because as the leader of the opposition and one who's supposedly so experienced and one of the most senior members of parliament, that he did not understand, that he did not know, or for whatever reason pretended not to know. And he's saying about, look at this now, all of this money, and how are we going to pay it back? And this is the greatest opportunity right now because the competition is minimal. Say, oh, how are we going to pay it back? And weren't we thinking about it? Of course we were thinking about that. That's why, Philip J. Pierre, there is a moratorium of 5 years in the payback of the loan for the airport. 5 years. And COVID is expected in the worst case scenario. It has been projected for the next 2 years. So for 5 years, St. Lucia doesn't have to pay back the loan. These are the incredibly favorable concessions that were given to St. Lucia for the payback of that loan. Just as the IMF loan and the World Bank loan, 40-year loans. 40-year loans, and you're not paying back on, 10 years or something before you start paying back, or 5 years? But, oh no, Philip J. Pierre doesn't know this. He's lost in space about that. All he wants to do is attack the government. Why doesn't he give the people of St. Lucia that information? No! Because make the government look too good. You think it's an accident? You think it's by chance the government got those conditions? They negotiated with it, for it, with the foreign governments and the banks. But Philip J. Pierre doesn't know that. You see? Oh, how are we going to pay back the loan? And we have 5 years moratorium. Just like the people who went to the bank and they got 3 months or 6 months moratoriums on their loans because of COVID. Give you a little break. Well, because they're helping out St. Lucia, and St. Lucia has proven under this government, Philip J. Pierre and Dr. Kenny Anthony, to be such prudent managers of the finances of this country. That's what happens when you put into place good fiscal measures. When you are taking St. Lucia's economy from the doldrums, from the pits of hell, as Dr. Kenny Anthony more or less described, and show the world what St. Lucia can do. And when Prime Minister Alan Chasney said that he would reduce VAT from 15%, by la yo tenye ka tongle muna goj yo ti business ka feme. Everyone was incredulous. Oh, how's that going to be done? Oh, see what they done, Pierre. Yeah, we're going to lose $50-something million. And Kenny Anthony and all of Nestle and all of them. When the government went to the banks and was able to get loans, when Dr. Kenny Anthony himself could not. Yo pate sa kopan sa, kiman ye Chasney, ka fesa bon ye. All the brain boxes could not get it done. But Alan Chasney was able to do it. Remember, year before, when the government was going to the banks in St. Lucia and getting loans, what they said, oh, they're taking a guy to get all the loans. There won't be any money for people to borrow. I can't respond to this the way that I want to. But that is absolute, abject nonsense and stupidity. And when you tell people things like that, it's because you believe that they're stupid to say that. Because any finance student will laugh at that nonsense. You tell me the bank does not know and does not have their own protocols on how, NIC has, on how much, what percentage of the deposits will go to government, what percentage will go to real estate, what percentage will go to whatever else. You think the banks don't have that? I mean, and for Dr. Kenny Anthony or the SLP, by extension is all of them, to be making those statements leads you to wonder how our finances were being managed if there isn't even this fundamental understanding of how the banks operate. And then leads you further to understand why Dr. Kenny Anthony made the statement that our financial house was not in order. That's why banks and other lending institutions would not give us money. Drop it! Dr. Kenny Anthony's interview with J.J. Jean-Pierre.
But something happened. Something happened that made the situation different. And it is the first time St. Lucia has experienced this. This time around, we could not borrow to finance the deficit. That is the crux of it. Last year, and this is where the crux of the problem is, we wanted to issue bonds of $266.5 million. But we actually were able to raise only $45.5 million.
That's a significant difference.
In other words, we were not able to raise $221 million. Likewise, we wanted to raise short-term loans of $38.9 million, but we were only able to raise $29.3 million. Again, a shortfall of $9.6 million. So what has happened here is that we cannot turn to borrowing to fix up our deficit because banks, individuals, and institutions who used to lend before are no longer lending governments. They're insisting that they will lend you if you get your financial house in order. And in our case, getting our financial house in order means that we have to bring down our fiscal deficit from where it is at 5.8% below 4%. That's the key.
So if you could not borrow then because your financial house was not in order, and they would not lend to you because your financial house was not in order, why are you complaining now when you wanted to borrow then? They were not giving it to you, but they're giving Chasney now. What does that mean? I mean, Dr. Kenny Anthony is saying it there, that if he could not borrow, if the banks were not giving him, if they were saying that the financial house was not in order, which means that it was under his stewardship, so therefore it was his failure. And the situation is totally different now. It means that Alan Chasney has our fiscal house, St. Lucia's fiscal house, in order. He's doing something right. He's doing something that you were not doing, you could not do, you were not able to do. That's the logical conclusion to come from all of this. That's the logical conclusion. But then again, there's this document floating around there about a plan to undermine the government at all costs, and certain operatives and certain individuals given certain ranks, and this one would be doing the video, and this one would be calling the radio stations, and this one would be recruiting people to call exhort connaître yo aimé couiller tout ka parler yondi yo qui était en l'autre pays chagouin pour voir parler encore il ka couiller dernier radio station, dernier TV. Et si c'est André Paul, c'est encore André Paul. Si c'est en l'autre side, c'est encore Timon. Et tout partout, monsieur kakouye, il kakouye, il obligé de payer monsieur. Et monsieur pas qu'à du bout de parler. Il ka just aller comme si your program is un robot. But the thing is that just like they say copy and paste. See where your social media tout. Copy and paste the same thing everywhere. Tout group yo a dans tout partout. Copy and paste. But when they call, moi say moi qui bon pour yo. When they call now, na koute yo, and then I ask the question. But you see, it's a talking point. Yo pas servi on se velio, c'est ça un lot moun di yo pour dire. So si ou mande yo en question, yo pas sa comprendre, yo pas sa répondre. But here we go again. The other day, this is so idiotic. If you don't want Philip J. Pierre to do something, just have Alan Chasney do it. Just have Alan Chasney do it. So now, Philip J. Pierre is not eating grovers. He's not eating grovers. Now Philip J. Pierre is not buying bread in his suit. Now Philip J. Pierre is not going to the supermarket. Ek pot jabi some Philip J. Pierre, kay more fair. Because drop the picture. Drop it. Chasney can mange wings. So now, what I expect to hear next at the next SLP press conference is that Philip J. Pierre say, man, I'm not eating wings. He's not eating wings. And the next time, Alan Chasney will appear on his page having a meal somewhere. Ek Philip J. Pierre kay do, il pa kay manger encore. Sa y kay boire de l'eau. Sa y kay boire, esse de l'eau. I tell you, folks, I mean, this has to be a wicked joke on the people of St. Lucia. And they're laughing inside there, show the wings again. Show the wings. Now they have a problem with that. And there were other photos as well. Go local. So Alan Chasney eats guavas. Go local. That's a push for our farmers. Everybody was eating guavas that week. He's not eating bread. That's local business. Right? He's not going to the supermarket. That's employment for our people. That's where our farmers can sell their produce as well. Even though we don't have too much in there, but there's still an opportunity. The bananas in there just as you go into the supermarket, that's local. The tomatoes and other stuff, the ground provisions, local. The sea moss, local. Right? And lots of other things in there are local as well. But the other photos showed the PM, Prime Minister Alan Chasney, tasty things, that's what it's called. Tasty things up there opposite Bank of St Lucia, the gas station at Grosley. Promoting. Moi j'y tan place là, même qu'on baye pain, ek tout baye, tout moun ka ale là. Promoting local business. But they have a problem with that. Have a problem with that. Well, you know, I don't know. Now, again, making noise about direct awards. I showed it to you before. I ain't talking about that too much. Put up the direct awards graphic that I prepared for the people to see. Look at it, folks. On your right of the screen, you see the red dots. That signifies the full years of SLP being in office, and the green dots for the UWP. The SLP, in their term in office, their previous term, they gave out 426 direct awards, averaging $285.2 million, $285.2 million total, and the average was $71.3 million per year. The UWP at the time of this for 2019, these are the figures, 355 direct awards equaling $183 million, averaging $61 million a year. Mais c'est Bouglani Che pour faire des ordres about direct awards. But they're not telling you, and I'm not telling you right now, let them tell you how many contracts were bid on through the bidding process they were issued. Let them tell you that. Because it's not only direct awards that are given, but they will have you believe that that is the case. That is not the case. It's not the case. And that is dishonesty, and that is being disingenuous to the people of St. Lucia. We'll take our final break. We'll be right back.
Remember when love was in the air? The love of sweet reggae music. Remember Love Fest? Well, Hot FM's Love Fest is back on Hot TV as Love Fest Flashback. Let's go down memory lane as we sing along to our favorite songs. Relive those unforgettable performances. All the all-time greats of reggae music. It's Love Fest Flashback every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sunday 6 p.m. on the most watched television. The popular Hot FM Love Fest is back on Hot 7 TV as Love Fest Flashback. Come, feel the love.
To experience the benefits of a tropical solar water heating system, call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Vieux-Fort.
Well, welcome back, folks. Welcome back from our quick break. We're in the final segment of Keeping It Real tonight. And I guess that was quite a bit there. We're going to open up the lines for your calls. I know you're raring to go there, folks. We have quite a bit to talk about. You heard it all here tonight. And we have a call already? Okay. Okay, put it through. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good evening, Mr. Williams.
Yes,
How are
good
you?
evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. You know, when I sit down with my family, my wife and my daughter, listening to television and news, I'm always very concerned about what comes into the homes of people where they might not have all the information necessary to understand what people are saying. And I saw you play tonight a clip of Honorable Philip J. Pierre referring to a radio station that he claims bombarding the people, bombarding the SLP.
Well, I know you're going to take that a little further than I did because it actually slipped me. So go ahead.
No, give me a little time. I want to just say that people must know the history of what happens on radio over the years. And I want to take you back to when the Labour Party was in power, and whenever in power. There was a gentleman called Shelton Daniel that a lot of people might not remember.
Yep.
He was on the radio every day. In those days, it was Radio St Lucia,
RSL,
the government radio station.
Yeah.
Doing his thing for the St Lucia Labour Party. There was also Claudius Francis, who at the time was also president of the Senate, using the media to promote whatever they want to promote. That is their right. I never heard Philip J. Pierre make any comment with regards to those stations.
Good observation.
But listen to what has happened now, and I only have a few. You have the Richard Frederick Show. You have the Christopher Hunt Show. You have the Yardy and Company Show. You have the Calix George Jr. Show, among others. All well-known anti this government. Right?
Let's not forget the so-called journalists.
Yes, but I have never heard the man who was deputy to Kenny Anthony, the man who has been in the House and at the SLP for all these years, never talk about how anything negative about these stations using the media every night, every time they come on. Not only that, there are particular people who says Chasney's name every 6 words. Every 6 words, he will say Chasney 1,000 times a night. You see, this is what bothers me when you hear people who are supposed to know better coming out. And I am very disappointed when I hear Philip J. Pierre talk about this. Remember the time when Mr. Alan Chasney, then Mr. Alan Chasney was vying for leadership or for the leadership of the party or going to politics. There was so much attack on his birthplace, on his citizenship, on his education, on his color of his skin, on his financial status. All of these things were bombarded on the media every day, every single day in St. Lucia.
With minimal coverage of the important issues.
Yes, and the opposition party did not have a radio station at the time to defend themselves. But here is Honorable Philip J. Pierre getting in the House and talking about the bombarding of the politics on the radio. Come on, there are St. Lucians who know the history, and they don't, as you say, they don't like to go back in time. I am fortunate that I can tell you, and I've been concerned, and I watch the media every night, the news. So, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, every time he opens his mouth, he puts his foot in it. Every time. And this is really ridiculous, because Shelton Daniel, when he comes into St. Lucia, when the SLP is in power, he goes on the radio station as soon as, where is he now? And if SLP for the slimmest margin that SLP get back in power again, I am sure Daniel will be back in St Lucia to do the same thing he does every time for the SLP. What does Philip J. Pierce say about that? He doesn't have any problem with that because it's supporting him. Look at the number of shows on radio. Anybody who listens to radio and watch TV know the number of people that outdo the government in selling themselves.
Yeah.
But Philip J. Pierre is now in the House to make people who do not know. So who is he fooling? Is he fooling the people who are ignorant of the fact of what has happened for the SLP? So I just want, when I sit down with my daughter, my wife, or any other body, watching television and hearing the news and seeing the comments from these politicians, they must know that they're people who know different. And somebody have to speak the truth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Thank you. 450-0777. Somebody said there are at least 7 anti-government shows, 7, 8 shows. Good night, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Hi, Norbert. How are you doing?
Good night. Can you speak up,
Norbert.
caller? I can't hear you too well.
Oh, sorry. Norbert.
Hi, good night.
Hearing me better now?
Mm-hmm.
Norbert, I want to make a point. First of all, I want to talk about what's happening in St. Lucia with COVID. Norbert, it's very disturbing to me, the increase in numbers, the sudden spike in numbers since the beginning of October.
I'm very alarmed, caller.
Second
Very
week in
alarmed too.
October, and now we've seen 2 deaths. No, but it is extremely disturbing to me that we have done so well on the handling of COVID. And I've called your show and I've expressed that in the past. We had the lowest per capita number of COVID cases in the entire Caribbean. We're one of 8 countries in the entire world with a level 1 rating for COVID. And since the second week in October, we have seen the numbers spike, and we have seen 2 deaths now. And everything the government and the CMO have cautioned and warned St. Lucians about has come to pass, sadly. And no, but I'm not going to hesitate. I am going to put responsibility where it is due. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that blame, I blame on the Labour Party. And I'll tell you why, Norbert. When the government and the opposition should have been speaking with a unified voice to warn St. Lucians and ask them to take precautions on COVID, to ask them to put in controls and asking St. Lucians to respect and obey the controls, the Labour Party undermined every single action the government has taken on COVID since March of this year. Every single action. From the closure of the borders, to the state of emergencies, to the shutdown.
That's right. The
Every
opening,
single
the
action.
alcohol,
The opening,
everything.
No, but thank you. There's not one action the St. Lucia Labour Party supported the government on.
You put restrict, caller. Let me just remind St. Lucians, because it's nice to refresh people's memory. The situation, people on the beach party, river limes, everything they had a problem with. Incredible.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
No, but the government did X. They said we should not do X. We should do Y. We do Y. They should not do Y. We should do Z. It was ridiculous. When the government and an opposition, every single country in the world has managed COVID well, you're supposed to unify. Everybody's supposed to be speaking from the same page. Hey, guys, this is what's happening. We need to do X, Y, Z. Contradicted the government and the CMO on every single thing. I blame the Labour Party, calling COVID a hoax. Saying the CMO is a liar. Even the very legislation meant to put in certain controls, right, Norbert, that we're using right now and we will need to use. You know what they did in that? The same legislation St. Kitts has copied off of us. You know what the Labour Party did? They asked St. Lucians to come out in thousands and march in a mass protest event, just like Trump. And we're seeing the results of what happened in the U.S.
Absolutely.
today. Right?
Absolutely.
The mass event, just like Trump, to come out in thousands and march. Right? At October 4th, the day of the Labour Party march, we had every single known official case of COVID in St. Lucia had recovered. But the government is saying, you know what, these known cases, there are still people coming from the back door, that hole is not completely plugged. The Labour Party, from since July of this year, it said from the first week in October, they're going to bring out their mass protest and we'll show St Lucia the might of the Labour Party.
Yep.
Well, today we are seeing the might of the Labour Party. We are seeing the actions of the Labour Party manifested. 100+ cases, 2 deaths since October 4th.
Caller, we had more cases in 3 weeks than total for 8 months. Incredible.
Exactly. Now, but people will say, what proof do we have that the Labour Party marched? No, people who test positive, the CMO doesn't ask them, did you go to the Labour Party march? So let's not be ridiculous. But what kind of responsible
But caller, just to interject there, even at the march, after the march on the market steps, what did Philip JPS say? Listen to what they're going to come with next week or the week after. They're going to blame us.
Exactly.
Taking Duval because he knew
exactly
that it was risky behavior.
He said, the cases they're going to come with, they're going to say, they're going to come in, as it implying they're going to invent cases. The cases that came after the march, you know what their own operators are saying? It's a lie. It's a lie. Up to now, they are still undermining what the government and the CMO is saying. The last two, rest in peace, the 2 COVID deaths. My heart breaks. As I say, my heart breaks. Right?
But caller, just to interrupt you, caller, you see, that is the modus operandi, you know. That any person, I continue to say that, any person, any individual, or any institution that says anything that supports the government position or agrees with anything the government says, you are open to attack from the SLB. The CMO is the latest victim of that. The statistics department, another victim. Even the IMF, even the World Bank, they say, they gave them fake information or they're working for the government. Any single person, any entity, any organization that says anything in favor of the government, open season on you from the
Absolutely.
SLP.
No, but even your show, your one little show you have once a week. I heard you attacked it in the house. Labour Party have 10 shows. They dominated the airwaves, but your little one show is under scrutiny in the house today. But anyway, that's for a different show, literally. But Norbert...
Caller, you have 1 minute because I have to cut on time tonight.
Norbert, I need to talk about the airport situation. Moving on from COVID.
Yes, quick.
Because I listened to parts of what is happening in the house today. Norbert, as a St Lucian, I'm telling you, I'm very embarrassed when I come into St Lucia. As a St Lucian living abroad, when I come into St Lucia and I see the state of the international airport. Norbert, and as St Lucians, we should all be embarrassed because that is an embarrassment here in our international airport. The state is in. And no government that is serious about tourism or serious about being in the year 2020 should be satisfied with the airport in the state it's in. Right? On a weekend, when we have international flights, even before COVID, the international line is out the door. Out the door. People have to sit on board their planes when it's raining.
Caller, I'm telling you, I've had to experience that. It's
no, but I think people need to leave St. Lucia and see what happens abroad. This is below standard. This is not.
But hold on, caller. Since you bring that up, you're setting me off tonight. Now, Dominica is building an international airport in these COVID times. No problem. The darling over there, they're doing one. Where else? Barbados extended their state of emergency to March next year. Nothing at all. Anything that is contrary to what happens in St. Lucia is good for them. If it's opposite, problem.
Exactly. No, but there is no doubt we need an international airport. There's no question. We should be embarrassed that visitors have to come to that mess we have at Urano International Airport. I don't put words in my mouth. I don't mince words. I tell you exactly how it is. That airport is an embarrassment. We need a new airport and we need it soon. And we need to own our airport. That PPP thing, we do not need to be entering any 30-something-year agreement.
Well, you know what, caller? We should have had a few millions, quite a bit of millions by now, if the SLP had not zeroed.
Exactly. No, but what is wrong? There is bad debt and there is good debt. This is good debt. We have a loan on favorable conditions. A 5-year moratorium on payments.
That's right.
Favorable.
But Philip JPA doesn't know that.
No, but if I take a loan now to build an apartment building, I have security in the bank, I have a means of repayment, it's coming from the rentals of the place. That is good debt. That is good death. What is wrong with death like that? St. Lucia has shown, even in the midst of COVID, we have thousands of visitors. We are defying the prophets of gloom and doom and showing them that the flights are coming. Despite what, remember what they said a few months ago, Norbert? We are showing them. Last weekend, how many flights we had? About 7 or 10 flights?
We had more than, I think, 12 or 13 flights on Saturday or something.
Over 5,000 people are back to work in the tourism industry. I think I had some Coconut Bay, Bay Gardens, SLHC, everybody hiring in the tourism industry in the midst of COVID.
30 seconds, caller.
Showing them, right? We need a new airport, and we need it now. I hear people saying we need to watch and see. Watch and see what? Since when infrastructure decisions are made now for now? Infrastructure decisions are made years in advance.
That's right.
He needs to get out of his myopia and his narrow-minded.
That's right, caller.
Understand the bigger picture. I am disappointed in the Labour Party, and I'm so happy that the government has a bigger, broader vision that is not tied to 5 years being in government, that there's a vision is beyond that. Anyway, thank you, Norbert.
Thank you very much, caller. Thanks for keeping it real. We'll take just one more call. We'll take one more call. Okay, we have that one more call, that last call coming in. Hope it's a good one. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Good night. You're on the air.
Hello. Caller,
Good
please
night.
listen to your telephone.
Norbert.
Don't listen to your device.
Good night, Mr. Norbert.
Good night, sir.
Yeah, your female caller was very impressive.
Yes,
nice
on the ball.
Yeah, but you remember when Peter Wickham did that survey that was in 2016?
16, that's right.
Right, and he said when he looking at it, he saw that the Labour Party is going to lose the election.
They're going to do what?
Lost the election.
They're going to lose the election. Okay.
Yeah, and the United Workers' Party will win the election. Now, they blame Peter Wickham. Based on what they were saying, is that as though Peter Wickham was paid to do what he was doing. And Peter Wickham is a man of such respect. He has done that throughout the Caribbean. As a matter of fact.
Oh, the attacks against him.
Yeah, he did the same thing in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which I monitored that election very close. In Dominica, he did the same, and throughout the Caribbean, he has been doing that particular work. But the Labour Party still find a way to criticize him when he did that here.
Yeah, I remember the uproar. I remember.
Exactly.
Thanks for reminding me. I remember that.
Right. Now, if you go to the history of these people, I think it is so clear that these people does not want to accept anything whatsoever. Once it is been done in the favor of the United Workers' Party, they will not just accept it. They just want to accept anything. You mean to tell me something that is so serious right now, such as coronavirus, where we saw in the U.S. people are dying one after the like thousands.
Yeah.
You know, and the government, there is what you call a committee, you know, to deal with that matter. You telling me, you saying Joachim, the man is not
it speaks for itself. It speaks. You know, I heard this expression just yesterday, that your actions speak so loud that I can't hear what you're saying. And that applies precisely to the SLP. That the actions speak so loudly that you can't even hear what they're saying.
So if these people were serious, if the leader of the opposition, which is next in line, in case that he were to be Prime Minister of St. Lucia, he would have sit with the government and discuss that, because this is an important issue. It is something that the entire world is facing.
You have 30 seconds, caller. You have 30 seconds.
You know, so then he forget about that and send Joachim, which is not a parliamentarian, and I myself, I would have not even accepted Joachim there in that meeting. If I cannot get an MP from the opposition party, I would not welcome Joachim, because Joachim have anything good he would relate back to that party. So these people again can show you how they're not in, I mean, when it's come to the business of this country, you watch them in the house, the same old behavior. Nothing new.
Okay.
Nothing different. But you are doing a pretty good job. I mean, this is the first time I'm calling your show. Yeah. But I think right now we have a medium where we can express our opinion before you call on the radio station. Once you get to the meat of the matter, they cut you off. You know, but now they're in Parliament criticizing you. Keep it real.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, caller. Thanks for keeping it real.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Thanks for calling. Well, Well, that's it tonight, folks. I'd like to say thank you very much. We're cutting it tight tonight. And don't forget the final clip that has to play. That's it, folks. We're in serious times. Wear your mask. Don't go where you don't need to go. If you don't need to do it, stay at home. Save yourself, your family. You never know, a family member could get it to you, or you could get it to somebody else or a friend. The house. Yeah, I'm going to leave you with that final clip there with Philip JPA. So thank you very much, folks. I'm Norbert Williams with another episode of Keeping It Real. Thank you so much. Oh, good night to Tomaso, New Village, Richford, Viewfort, Labrie, all around, Dallas, Texas, everywhere. Good night and see you next time. I'm Norbert Williams. Good night.
Keeping it real. But keeping it real every day. Yeah, he left. There, every day. But no, we playing politics.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Hot 7 TV is the rising star of television in St. Lucia with our stunning 100% HD quality.